for sharing the screen.
Yeah, already given.
हाँ जी जी. So this is the case study we are going to do. So you understood by far, we have talked about various models or various methods of doing performance management systems, how we can actually do that. We studied about all those systems and techniques. Today we are going to talk about this particular method of performance appraisal through this case study. And I want to know from you, from this case study, that which is the method that you feel it would be suitable for doing performance appraisal. Right? The case study is all about that. So you can start reading and let me know. It's not that, it's not really that long. You can see the screen, right? You want me to
Yes, ma'am.
increase the font size or you can read it?
No, ma'am, it's okay.
I'm on mute, so in case the background noise doesn't come, let me know once you are through with this, then I'll scroll it down.
Yes, ma'am, done.
Yes, ma'am, done. Done, ma'am.
All of you
Yes,
done?
done. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, बस यहाँ तक. Then you have questions.
Open.
Done, ma'am.
Both of you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the questions that we need to discuss now. The first question talks about explain all the methods mentioned in the case with suitable example. So what are the methods which is mentioned here in this particular case study?
Checklist method, 360, and assessment method.
Assessment centers, right? So can you explain that once again if you have understood those methods well? Whatever you remember.
So in 360-degree method, I've learned that all feedbacks from all the people are necessary in that. Like each and every people who are engaged in the working of the organization gives feedback, and according to that feedback only the HR takes decisions about the appraisal of the performance of an individual. So in that biasness cannot be happen, like reduced biasness are there because everyone are involved in that.
Okay.
Checklist, I think it is like various competencies which are made
Sorry.
that according to that he or she check the employee, their skills, and if that skills matches with the checklist which he has prepared, then he appraise them.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds great. Good, Sakshi. So, Anjali, you did not join that class. So I'm sure you may not be aware about the methods that we are talking about, right? But again, it's a very important topic that we did on Sunday. So please go through that. Otherwise,
Okay, ma'am.
if you won't know how to do performance management through methods, then obviously performance management में कुछ और बचता ही नहीं है ज़्यादा पढ़ने के लिए. Then second question says that if you are an HR manager in place of Mr. Shroff, what would you do now? So that's of importance.
Ma'am, I will like use this 360 method so that biasness cannot be happen. Like each and every individual can get chance to give necessary feedbacks according to which the appraisal of the employee can be given.
Okay. Anjali, anything from your side?
Yes, ma'am. So if I'll be in the place of HR, then I'll choose the fair and unbiased method first of all, and then 360 method also, because if we focus on all dimension of somebody's performance, then we can evaluate that in a good manner. And if we are bias free in our work, then we can also examine someone's work so easily and so biasness free. So these two will be my method to judge anyone.
Okay, and why would you do that?
Ma'am, because if we choose 360-degree dimension of appraisal method, then we are focusing on every dimension of someone's work. Like we are going to examine him or her on their work, which has been given to him, or the project which has been given to him or her, and then we can judge on that he or she has done better or not, and in which area he or she is needed improvement or some training, or some extra factor which is needed. So if we are focusing on all dimension, that then it will be giving us more information about that particular employee, and that will be
Hmm.
helpful in the appraisal. And
Right.
the free and unbiased method will also be helping us in being honest toward our company and towards our employees' work also. Because if we cannot evaluate somebody or honestly, then I don't think that we are doing just to him or her. So that too will be very important factor.
Right. Correct. So see, as we discussed, on appraisals and performance management system, every organization needs to design the method according to their culture. If you know, in case Mr. Shroff knows that if we are not able to give the feedback or the review, right? I'm sure if you remember last time when we were discussing about this particular topic, I kept saying that reviews and feedbacks are the utmost of importance when you are giving, if you're not telling an employee that they are going right or wrong, that means as a manager, as a company, you are not doing your job properly till the time, because everybody in the organization, it's very similar to how the school and colleges work. If you want child, if, after unit test, if you're not telling the child that you're failing because of these reasons, right, the child will never improve. Ultimately, what will happen, you're actually waiting for the child to fail in the class, which should not be the case, right? The entire education system is designed in the manner today so that the child can get different opportunities. He or she or the parents can see that this is how I am failing, these are the subjects I am not getting different marks. And similar thing, if you change now the school to organization, a similar kind of report cards are being designed in every appraisal methods. The forms are designed in similar order, and you can easily see that after first review, if in 5 competencies I'm not able to gain A grade or B grade, I'm directly getting C, D, E, F, some whatever as per the rating scale of the company. That means I'm not improving. And that means there is something wrong either with me or the job responsibilities given to me or the manager who's handling me. So all three things needs to be taken care of during the reviews, which should happen. Ideally, the reviews should happen monthly. If some organizations are too large, they cannot do monthly reviews, then at least quarterly reviews should happen so that you at least have 3 quarters before you are doing the annual appraisals. So you have enough information in front of you that we gave this many chances to an employee to improve. Still, he or she is not performing, that means there is something wrong. So all those parameters needs to be noted down and keep as a record for. This is how the appraisals is being done. Now in this particular case study, because a lot of biases are happening, so the training to be given to every employee and the people who are conducting appraisals for on unconscious bias is very important. Till the time that training is not being given to all the people in the organization, there is something wrong, and it will keep on going no matter what method they start choosing. Right? Why Mr. Shroff were fan of assessment centers? Again, we discussed assessment centers last week. Assessment centers try and bring the accuracy. The accuracy is much higher because again, it's a very scientific and psychometric kind of a tool. It can help to evaluate any employee on the basis of their personality traits as well as on the biases that they are putting into the system. Right? So this is how the assessment center works. Third, so obviously you have given the answer already, that 360-degree method is the best appraisal method in case. So the only thing that you need to remember for 360 degrees secrecy, the confidentiality has to be maintained. Because if some senior gets to know my junior has given me less marks on certain things, तो फिर उन दोनों का bias हमेशा जिंदगी भर चलता रहेगा. फिर then that relationship is gone forever. It cannot be mended. So that has to be done. Every HR should ensure that every rating that is coming should be kept in records fed in a secret manner, in a confidential manner. That's the only thing. And transparency with the management is important in 360 degree. Good. So now you got the idea of this case study. So let's move to the next topic that I wanted to take you through, which is KPI method. So this is a site, sharing directly this link of the site. I thought कि PPT क्या बनाए इसके ऊपर. So simplecKPI.com is a wonderful site. it has various examples of each and every department that can be converted into KPI system completely. So they'll show. I'll take you through that. Yeah, so let's start from here. So what is KPI method of performance management? So KPI basically stands for key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are basically three different kind of indicators which showcase for each and every individual that their performance can be good or bad, or can require potentially improvement in the future. Right. So now these indicators are designed in three manners. One is strategic, operational, and individual, which is related to the organization, overall health of the organization, what's the future goals for the organization, what is the vision and mission of the organization. So we take few points from there for designing KPIs. Then operational is basically how everything is connected to the development of one particular function that they are working on, that their department is doing, contributing in this. These are the projects that they are working on, and the projects are bringing them these kind of results. An individual level, which is your own personal level, that what's your KPI, what's your competency, which is adding to all these scenarios so that you can achieve operational and strategic goals for the organization as well as your individual goals, right? So for example, अगर एक कंपनी है जिसका टोटल टारगेट है कि उनको एक साल में 50 करोड़ रेवेन्यू करना है, 50 CR, राइट? सो फॉर दैट 50 CR एटलीस्ट दे शुड बी हैविंग 10 गुड सेल्स पर्सन in the organization who can contribute towards this 50 CR. So in order to have those 10 people, उनका टारगेट क्या हो जाएगा? 5 crore each, right? Everybody will contribute in that manner. So strategic goal क्या हुआ? 50 crores. Operational department का goal क्या हुआ? 50 crores. अगर और कोई department नहीं है तो I'm just taking off this one particular department. Individual goals क्या हो गए? 5 CR each. So this is how you have to map each individual skills, competency, and as well as organizational and functional competencies KPI. अब कितने टाइम में करना है वो सब चीजें इसके बाद आती रहेंगी कि हाउ वी एक्चुअली डू. एक मेट्रिक और केपीआई में क्या डिफरेंस होता है? इसकी जरूरत नहीं है, ये आसान ही है. Now, how you can actually design your KPIs, very importantly, and this has to be known because most of the organizations are using this particular method, which is based on MBO, management by objective. This we did also. A different organization calls this method in a different manner. KPI is the most common form of work that we generally use. These are also called OKRs, right? So objective and key result areas. OKRs means objective and key results, and then KPI is much more quantifiable statements that we bring into the organization for every individual. So for example, how we actually do that? The objective is, agar suppose there is this example, if you're looking to track income leads from social media, your setup should look like objective क्या होना चाहिए? Increase in social media leads, कि आपको obviously किसी भी department में करना है तो आपको ये करना पड़ेगा. Measure कैसे करोगे? Number of leads generated and tracked over social media sources, किस किस सोर्स से कितना आ रहा है. फ्रीक्वेंसी कैसे मैप कर रहे हैं हम? मंथली, डेली, वीकली, क्वार्टरली और एनुअली. डेटा पॉइंट्स क्या मैच कर रहे हैं? कैसे, कहाँ से क्या आ रहा है? मैनुअल एंट्री कर रहे हैं आप, डायरेक्टली वो आ रहा है. एंड टारगेट और गोल क्या है आपका, which is 50% increase in 12 months. This is your target. So these are how KPIs are designed, and KPIs should basically talk about these 5 things: objective, measure, frequency, data points, and goal, right? This is how this particular company, simple KPI का काम है ऐसे डैशबोर्ड्स बना के देना. So इसीलिए उन्होंने they have shown it like this. So these are the 5 steps for creating KPI dashboards, right? आपको अपना KPI metrics choose करना पड़ेगा. क्या डेटा सोर्स आप यूज कर रहे हो, कहाँ से आ रहा है, जैसे अगर इंटरनल HRIS सिस्टम यूज कर रहे हैं उससे आ रहा है, आपका मैनुअल फॉर्म है जो आप भर रहे हो परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल का लोगो से, वहां से आ रहा है, या लोग अपना रिकॉर्ड करके अपना जितना भी उन्होंने काम किया है ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वो रिकॉर्ड करके उसके अंदर डाल रहे हैं ऑन सिस्टम और मैनुअली। इनकी साइट के बारे में नाउ आई वांटेड टू शो यू द सेल्स डैशबोर्ड की सेल्स डैशबोर्ड में क्या क्या चीजें कैप्चर करते हैं ये। So when you create, so because this is a software simple KPI, इसीलिए वो अपने उसमें मेथड में दिखा रहे हैं, but whenever you are designing your sales KPI किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट के लिए, what are the things that you are going to keep in mind while designing KPIs? So ये जो जितने भी टॉपिक लिखे हुए हैं, सेल्स बाय रीजन, क्यूमुलेटिव सेल्स दिस ईयर, number of sales done, commission payable this year, sales revenue this year and league table top performing. So ये सारी की सारी चीजें हम कैप्चर करेंगे, and that's when you can design and create a sales dashboard for your organization on your own. You don't have to really take up this software, right? Just put the measures correctly and then these things can be done on Excel sheet also. Have you done and created charts on Excel sheet ever?
Yes, ma'am.
So all these things can be, if the data is put correctly in Excel sheet, इससे भी ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से ड्राफ्ट निकल कर आ जाते हैं। You just need to ensure कि किस तरीके से आप डेटा डाल रहे हो। Similarly for marketing, what are the things you are going to see कि marketing का spend कितना रहा, budget कितना था and how much you have actually spent that year. Then website visitor कितने रहे, कितने लोगों ने आके क्लिक करा, पर पे क्लिक कितना लगा हमारा पैसा, या कितने लोगों ने आके विजिट किया और कितनी फ्रीक्वेंसी में विजिट किया दोबारा। फिर रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट कि हर साल में आपका रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या आ रहा है, कि अगर आपने मार्केटिंग पे सपोज 20 लाख रुपए खर्च किया है, एटलीस्ट 20 लाख रुपए पे आपको कम से कम 3 या 4 करोड़ की वो बेनिफिट आना चाहिए, तभी आपका फायदा होता है 20 लाख रुपीज इन्वेस्ट करने का। सो दैट रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट कैन बी कैलकुलेटेड थ्रू दीज मेथड, दैट कितने वेबसाइट विजिटर्स आए, कितनी लीड जनरेट हुई और कितनी लीड्स को हमने कन्वर्ट कर दिया सेल्स वालों में, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू कैन रियली डू दैट। एंड लीड्स पर चैनल कैन बी, अगर आप इंस्टाग्राम पे ऐड चला रहे हैं तो वहां से आपको कितना पैसा मिला, कितने लीड्स जनरेट हुए, फेसबुक से कर रहे हैं, गूगल एनालिटिक्स पे कर रहे हैं। सो मार्केटिंग कवर्स एवरी एंड ईच चैनल। ये तो हम डिजिटल की बात कर रहे हैं, जब डिजिटल नहीं होता है और ऑफलाइन मेथड्स यूज होते हैं, तो ऑफलाइन मेथड से भी न्यूज़पेपर एड्स, मैगजीन्स, न्यूज़लेटर्स जा रहे हैं, मीडिया में कितनी तरीके से रिपोर्ट्स जा रही हैं, कौन कौन सी मैगजीन्स में गई हैं, दोज ऑल थिंग्स कैन बी कैलकुलेटेड एंड इजीली पुट इनटू यूज। देन लीड्स गोल ऑफ द ईयर कि कितने आपने लीड्स को अपना बनाया था और आपको कितना अचीव हुआ, हाउ मेनी लीड्स यू वांटेड एंड हाउ मेनी यू हैव एक्चुअली जनरेटेड मार्केटिंग। तो ये सब मार्केटिंग के KPIs हो जाएंगे। सिमिलरली मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में है तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के क्या रहेंगे, प्रोडक्शन पर रेट, मशीन अगर आपकी चल रही है तो हर मशीन के चलने पर प्रोडक्शन पर कितना रेट आ रहा है आपका। देन कितनी यूनिट्स लॉस्ट हुई, वेस्टेज अगर हो रही है तो लॉस कितनी हो रही है, बिकॉज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज को सबसे ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आती है, अगर मशीन्स को पूरी तरीके से यूटिलाइज नहीं कर रहे होते हैं और लॉसेज ज़्यादा बनते हैं, अगर एक भी आइटम बनने में गड़बड़ हो जाता है। एनी रॉन्ग आइटम दैट इज बीइंग क्रिएटेड इज बेसिकली एट डबल कॉस्ट, वहीं पर सब गड़बड़ हो जाता है। फिर ओवरऑल प्लान प्रोडक्टिविटी कि आपके प्लान की प्रोडक्टिविटी कितनी रही, कितने, अगर 24/7 चल रहा है तो कितनी प्रोडक्टिविटी आनी चाहिए थी, एंड देन फ्रॉम एक्चुअल टू गोल्स के साथ हम कंपैरिजन कर लेंगे। प्रोडक्टिविटी बाय मशीन, हर मशीन में कितनी प्रोडक्टिविटी रही है। लॉस यूनिट कॉजेज, क्या क्या कॉज के कारण जो आपके खराब हुआ है सामान, ऑपरेशनल डैमेज था, अदर कॉजेज से फिजिकल डैमेज था, या कुछ टूलिंग एरर हो गई थी मशीन के अंदर, राइट। ऑपरेटर्स कौन कौन अवेलेबल थे और आपका हर साल का कितना आपका यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस हुआ है, दिस यूनिट्स YTD, ईयर ऑन ईयर कितना आपने प्रोड्यूस किया है। तो दिस इज हाउ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनीज का KPI बन जाता है फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग डिपार्टमेंट। देन अगर SaaS प्रोडक्ट है आपका, SaaS प्रोडक्ट इज बेसिकली अ कंप्यूटराइज्ड प्रोडक्ट दैट यू हैव डेवलप्ड फॉर योरसेल्फ, देन हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू डू दैट। सो न्यू रेवेन्यू दिस मंथ कितना आया, मंथली रेवेन्यू कितना है, रेवेन्यू पर अकाउंट कितना है, कितने क्लाइंट आपने या कितने कस्टमर आपने नए एक्वायर किए हैं, चर्न रेट कितना रहा आपका। दिस इज लार्जली यूज्ड फॉर ई-कॉमर्स कंपनीज एंड द कंपनीज व्हिच हैव देयर ओन प्रोडक्ट, जो भी आप यूज करता है आजकल, मिंत्रा, all those products that is being used. So ये लोग कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं अपना KPIs? कितने पुराने लोगों ने उस पर दोबारा आए वापस? ट्रायल टू कस्टमर कन्वर्जन कितना रहा टोटल? न्यू अकाउंट्स कितने ऐड हुए हैं? लाइफ टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ कस्टमर्स कितनी है? कितने लोग कितने टाइम बाद बार रिपीट करते हैं या कितनी टाइम तक रहे हैं कंपनी के साथ? हर एक नए एक्वायर करने के लिए कॉस्ट कितनी लगती है आपकी कंपनी के अंदर साथ की? एंड देन न्यू अकाउंट्स बाय मंथ कितने ऐड हुए, उससे आपका टोटल रेवेन्यू निकल कर आ जाता है आज प्रोडक्ट. That's when these companies become beneficial if they do this. ऐसी सिक्योरिटी फर्म का है. So now the idea is to write the KPIs in a proper manner. That has to be done nicely. If you cannot write your KPIs in proper manner, that means there is something wrong. And when you're writing your KPIs, then these are the 5 things that you need to mention. That's it. So suppose अगर आपको HR का बनाना है, you are an HR manager and you want to create your own KPIs. How are you going to create that using these particular things? कैसे लिखोगे अपने 3 KPIs?
मैम इसको असाइनमेंट के तौर पे करके देख सकते हैं.
कर सकते हैं, पर अभी जस्ट आस्किंग फॉर अ डिस्कशन. कैसे कर सकते हो आप?
ओके.
You can send me later. But we are just discussing कि अगर आपको बनाने होंगे 3 KPIs तो क्या क्या बनाओगे, so that you get a better understanding.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question?
How, if you are an HR manager and you have to write your own KPIs, how will you write those KPIs?
Ma'am, on this method we can create the KPI of HR will be like the first indicator we can think of that in objective section to create awareness about the institute or company. And apart from this, there will be like technical input, more technical input are being availed in the company. जो भी हमारे पास डिपार्टमेंट दिया हुआ होगा, HR में भी हमारे पास बहुत
Sorry to cut you. ये जो example दिया हुआ है, this is only for one KPI. So the KPI remains the same, which is tracking income leads for social media. So अगर आप objective कह रहे हो that you have to create awareness of institution and organization, so बाकी चीजें उसी को map करनी है. Right. Sorry, go on now.
And second will be like we have to keep our policy so clear to the employee. In objective we can put it, and the measures will be like we are conducting a survey and we are taking a good care of the policy which we are being implemented on the employees, that they are doing good with or not. And frequency, in frequency measure we can simply do the survey on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis or yearly basis. And data points will be like from the objective and measure section we can evaluate them on the basis of their work, and then put their work in terms of indicator, like for example we can create a rating system, like how the particular employee is working in our institution or company. and based on that, target will be decided, like if we have given a group work or individual work, or that is with respect to the company target. Like we have to generate a 50 lakh uh, income in a particular 6 months of, for example, and then we can divide the task to the group, to the individual, and on their performance, on their previous जो भी हमारे मेजर्स हैं उनके बेसिस पे दे हैव डन बेटर और नॉट, उसके बेसिस पे हम गोल डिसाइड करके उसको इवैल्यूएट कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, पर वो गोल क्या होगा? I want to know the
मैम आई
number.
कैन
Just think
मैम
from that
आई
perspective.
एम
कोई
नॉट
जल्दी
एबल
नहीं है
टू
हमें.
फ्रेम इट. यस मैम.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Like I have to do some research about the HR objectives. Like there are different, various kind of field in HR also. So, in if we are doing it in assignment, then we can choose a particular area, and on that basis we can clarify the objective,
HR
major,
in
frequency,
general,
and
I'm
data points.
saying.
But here,
HR in general, I'm
yes,
saying. I'm not
ma'am.
saying you
But
have to choose any function of HR. Normal HR. So you become an HR manager. As an HR manager, आपकी क्या KPIs रहेंगे? On what basis should we measure you? Simple. Right? And there can be many. 10 से भी ज़्यादा हो सकते हैं, 15 भी हो सकते हैं. But I'm just talking about 3. See, why I'm saying this, so that you can write one statement stating this is my KPI and understand that ये मेरा KPI है. You have to use this particular method जिसके अंदर ऑब्जेक्टिव भी आ रहा है आपका, आप कैसे मेजर कर रहे हो वो भी आ रहा है, कितनी फ्रीक्वेंसी पे आप रिपीट कर रहे हो. सो लेट्स टेक वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल इन एचआर. वन सिंपलेस्ट इज हायरिंग करना है हमें, राइट? यू वांट टू डू हायरिंग, सो हायरिंग बिकम्स अ ऑब्जेक्टिव. हायरिंग द राइट टैलेंट फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दैट बिकम्स योर ऑब्जेक्टिव. उसको मेजर कैसे करोगे?
Number of hirings which we
Numbers
have.
of people, right? Number of candidates या people you have met and hired, right? Met also क्योंकि जितने लोगों से आप मिले वो भी आपका मेहनत है, सोर्सिंग हुई है उनकी. And then hired क्योंकि उसमें से सपोज अगर एक 4 लोगों के लिए 4 पोजीशंस ओपन है, 4 पोजीशंस के लिए अगर आप 50 लोगों से मिले हो, so those 50 लोग should be counted for. Why? Because these are the 50 people who are your leads you generated through various channels. And out of those 50, then you're hiring 4 people. Then frequency क्या रहेगी कि अगर ये जो आपका टारगेट था ये पर मंथ था, पर एनम था, 4 एम्प्लॉय करने का, क्वार्टरली था, क्या था वो आपकी इसके अंदर वो आ गई. Like 4 people to be hired in this many things. Right? डेटा पॉइंट्स क्या रहे आपके, कौन से चैनल से आपने हायर किया और कितने टाइम पीरियड में हायर किया. टारगेट और गोल क्या हो गया कि आपने कंपनी की प्रोडक्टिविटी कितने टाइम से इंक्रीज कर दी बाय हायरिंग दीज 4 पीपल इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. या टारगेट्स और गोल्स और डेटा पॉइंट्स में आ सकता है कॉस्ट मेजर्स कितने कम किए आपने. अगर कॉस्ट आपका बजट था सपोज उन 4 पोजीशंस को हायर करने का 1 लाख रुपए, मान लेते हैं 25,000 पर पोजीशन का था, 1 लाख रुपीज आपने अपने लिए टारगेट रखा था, फंड्स था, उसमें से आपने सिर्फ यूज किया 78,000 रुपीज, कम कॉस्ट पे यूज कर लिया लोगों को. So that means you saved the cost for 22,000 rupees for the organization. So that's your data point, right? Target और goal आपने achieve कर लिया, इस तरीके से आपने कंपनी को और resources दे दी productivity higher करने के लिए. So
ma'am,
this is simply for
target or
hiring.
goal. Okay, sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. I have a doubt. In target or goal section, we have to write the objective, which is
No. Objective is different. Objective was to hire a talent pool for the organization.
So in this
Now, how
section, we
many
have
have
to
you
write the
hired?
result. Okay.
Right. You have to mention the result, that what is the outcome exactly that you have achieved through all these things.
Okay.
करेक्ट. अब सपोज ये हायरिंग का हो गया. अब हायरिंग के अलावा और क्या फंक्शंस करते हैं हम एचआर में जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम. ठीक है. परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम का केपीआई बनाना है. कैसे बनाएंगे परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट का? To ensure that performance management system objective हो गया, to ensure performance management system is happening properly, systematically, smoothly, effectively, जो भी लिखना चाहते हैं. That's the objective statement, right? Short, brief, and easy to read. Measure कैसे करोगे?
Ma'am, I have a question. In major section, we can write down our work, like what we have to do and which method, by which method or in which way we have to do it. Method or way
वो
can
डेटा
be written
पॉइंट्स
in
में
the
आएंगे,
major section.
मेथड आएगा आपका डेटा पॉइंट्स में, मेथड। मेजर में क्या आएगा, कितने लोगों ने पार्टिसिपेट
How?
किया,
Yeah.
how many people participated in performances like this, because appraisal सबके लिए नहीं खुला होता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, जनरली इट इज फॉर अ पीपल, उसके लिए आपके पैरामीटर्स होते हैं कि पीपल हु हैव कंप्लीटेड 6 months या 1 year और दे हैव डन दिस थिंग्स, बिकॉज कई लोगों का अप्रेजल जल्दी हो जाता है, सपोज हायर किया हो, प्रोबेशन खत्म करने पर भी हम कर देते हैं, या अभी उनकी रिसेंट हायरिंग हुई है पिछले 5-6 महीनों में, सो दे डोंट रियली क्वालिफाई फॉर अप्रेजल। So most of the organizations have a parameter that appraisal, yearly appraisal. Annual appraisals will be done for people who have completed minimum 1 year in the company. So आप मेजर में क्या डालोगे, नंबर ऑफ पीपल who have participated in the method system. फ्रीक्वेंसी क्या रहेगी,
Annually.
या एनुअली आप कर रहे हैं, प्लस फ्रीक्वेंसी के अंदर आप ये भी डाल सकते हैं कि कितने टाइम पीरियड में आपने अप्रेजल सिस्टम खत्म कर लिया, व्हाट इज द साइकिल दैट यू हैव केप्ट। सो ऑब्जेक्टिव में अगर आपने रखा है कि खत्म करना है, कितने टाइम पीरियड में, फ्रीक्वेंसी में खत्म करना है, वो भी आप इसमें मेंशन कर सकते हो। आज के दिन 20 फॉर्म भरवाने हैं, परसों 30 भरवाने हैं, बिकॉज लंबा सिस्टम है मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम का। फॉर्म्स क्रिएट किए कितने टाइम में, फिर उनके गोल्स कितने टाइम में क्रिएट हुए, या केपीआईज कितने में क्रिएट हुआ, फिर फॉर्म्स बन के गए सबके पास, चाहे वो आप HRIS से भेज रहे हो या मैनुअली भेज रहे हो, वट एवर वे, फिर वो भर के कब तक आ रहे हैं उसकी एक डेट डालनी होती है। सो ये फ्रीक्वेंसी वुड मेजर ऑल दैट कि आपका टारगेट ठीक टाइम पे जा रहा है। अब आपने आज में फॉर्म्स भेज दिए पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, 500 लोग सपोज मान लेते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से क्वालिफाई करते हैं अप्रेजल में पार्टिसिपेट करने को, 500 लोगों को आप कितना टाइम दोगे अपने फॉर्म फिल करने के लिए, सेल्फ अप्रेजल होता है तो मिनिमम 1 वीक का टाइम देना चाहिए, सो दैट यू नो पीपल, अपना डेली का काम भी होता है, जनरली लोग अवॉइड कर जाते हैं इस चीज़ को करना, सो एटलीस्ट 1 वीक शुड बी गिवन सो दैट दे कैन थिंक थ्रू अबाउट देयर अप्रेजल एंड देन डू इट। फिर ये सेल्फ अप्रेजल का साइकिल हुआ, सेल्फ अप्रेजल के बाद आपके सीनियर के पास जा रहा है जो भी कर रहा है, another 10 days for that person to think through and then give ratings accordingly on parameters, तो वो साइकिल फ्रीक्वेंसी में आ जाएगी, इसमें कितने टाइम पीरियड में क्या क्या होगा। डेटा पॉइंट्स क्या रहेंगे, मेथड चूज करा है कौन सा आपने, मेथड का नाम लिखोगे अपना इसके अंदर, एंड और लिखोगे क्या क्या चीज़ें आप प्रूफ की तरह लेना चाहते हो एम्प्लॉयज से। फॉर एग्जांपल इफ़ यू आर, अगर ये तो आपका HR का KPI हुआ ना, परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल, आपके डेटा पॉइंट्स क्या होंगे परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल में, कितने फॉर्म टाइमली आपने सबमिट करा लिए थे। तो सिमिलरली अगर आप सेल्स का वो करा रहे हो, सेल्स का KPI बना रहे हैं, सेल्स का क्या KPI होगा कि उनका परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल होने के लिए दे विल हैव टू सबमिट देयर डॉक्यूमेंट्स, राइट। देन आगे आपका टारगेट और गोल कि कंप्लीशन डेट क्या थी, आपने किया या नहीं किया, एनुअली कितना परसेंटेज सेव किया कंपनी का, कितना परसेंटेज हाइक हुआ है, कितना रिटेंशन हुआ उसके बाद, how many people are really happy, will do an employee satisfaction survey after that। तो वो सब चीज़ें, टारगेट और गोल्स कैन डिफर, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो सकती है परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट से रिलेटेड, बट स्मूथली हुआ या नहीं हुआ दैट यू कैन रियली लुक इनटू, और टाइम पीरियड में कन्वर्ट कर दिया या नहीं कर लिया, बिकॉज सबसे ज़्यादा परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम आती है टाइम पीरियड की, हम कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाते टाइमली, राइट। सो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन आपके ऊपर होता है। सिमिलरली इस तरीके से आप सारे बनाओगे, ट्राई एंड डू इट एज मच एज पॉसिबल, एटलीस्ट 5 बना के देखो HR के, या जो भी डिपार्टमेंट आप चूज करना चाहते हो, HR नहीं चूज करना चाहते हो असाइनमेंट के तौर पे, एनी द डिपार्टमेंट दैट यू वांट टू चूज एंड क्रिएट देयर KPIs, जस्ट ट्राई, सी टिल द टाइम यू वोंट राइट इट डाउन योरसेल्फ, यू वोंट एबल टू गेट इट कि कैसे KPI बनेगा। एंड KPIs ट्रस्ट मी आर द बेस्ट सिस्टम्स यूज्ड बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, चाहे आप उसके बाद असेसमेंट सेंटर भी करो तब भी KPIs लिखने पड़ेंगे कि क्या करना है एग्जैक्टली, किसी एम्प्लॉय ने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आके करना क्या है, दैट इज बेसिकली योर KPI, सो दैट हैज टू बी रिटन डाउन समवेयर। मैनेजमेंट बाय ऑब्जेक्टिव्स कर रहे हो, स्मार्ट गोल्स कर रहे हो, जो भी हमने लास्ट वीक पढ़ा था, स्मार्ट गोल्स इज आल्सो बेस्ड ऑन दीज, ऐसे ही लिखे जाते हैं स्मार्ट गोल्स भी, करेक्ट? So now on the basis of the similar this exercise, let's do another exercise जो हम हमेशा करते हैं. I want you to write down right now at least 3 goals, personal goals that you have kept for yourself. You can see the screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll Vanchika here, we will write Anjali here. Write Sakshi. Right, so your goals can be anything. Like you can see, today's goal was to develop better sleeping schedule. Because she was studying so much, she was doing so many things at one point in time, कि उसका sleep schedule एकदम खराब हो गया था. She would hardly able to sleep at nights. So this is how we designed her goal so that she will be able to give more time towards her sleep. So जो smart objectives हमने last time करे थे, उसके basis पर we will do it for all 4 of you. Then I'll share this PPT with you. Just to remind you how this is how we do SMART goals. So specific means what do you actually want to do in your life? Measurable, कैसे आप उसको वैल्यूएट करोगे, किस तरीके से आपने पहुंचना है उस तक, अचीवेबल है या नहीं है, रियलिस्टिक है, टाइम पीरियड में कंप्लीट करना उसको या नहीं, एंड टाइमलेसनेस कितना है. ये पांचों चीजों के साथ हमने एसोसिएट करनी है. देन एनी गोल कैन बिकम मेजरेबल एंड स्मार्ट. So let's start with you, Anjali. What's your goal? We're just taking one right now for each one of you.
Ma'am, currently to complete all the session I have missed.
That is not a goal. Life में goal क्या है?
Ma'am, after first, initially this is to complete my graduation with a good percentage, and after that I have to compete in the UPSC exam. So for that I have to make sure that my preparation is good enough to.
हाँ, so goal आपका
participate
क्या
in
हुआ? UPSC, right? You want to clear UPSC. ये मान लेते हैं. So अब इसको करने के लिए आप क्या क्या करोगे?
So सबसे पहले I'll find out what the UPSC is and what is the thing which should be taken care while preparing for it, or knowing about the UPSC,
Right.
what it requires.
So to research more about it.
Yes, ma'am.
कितने time period में?
Ma'am, within 2 or 3 weeks, but it will be a continuous journey because it is not so easy to know the UPSC, how it works and what is
Fine,
pattern,
but
because
at least To know
Yes,
the
2 to
basics.
3. Oh,
हम्म, फिर क्या करोगे और?
then we have to finalize the sources from which I will be doing the preparation. Like, for example, NCERT is a must, so I have to go through the NCERT and some standard book also. So I'll finalize the resources.
हाँ, so you will do schedule and resourcing.
Yes, ma'am.
कितने टाइम पीरियड में होगा ये सब?
1 week, maybe.
1 to
And
2
the
weeks लगा लेते हैं. And you want to clear UPSC next year, right? 2024. Not this year.
for example, ma'am, I'm in the first year, so I have to complete my graduation
Oh,
next
so
2
you
years.
have 3
After
years.
that,
So 2026 means. तो बहुत टाइम है. फिर क्या जल्दी है 1-2 वीक्स वाली? फिर तो आराम से टाइम दिया जा सकता है. मतलब रिसर्च करने में, शेड्यूलिंग एंड रिसोर्सिंग में भी टाइम दिया जा सकता है. You
yes,
can
ma'am,
give months.
resourcing is a continuous approach because newspaper, current affairs are the thing which is adding on day
That
by
you will
day.
come. So schedule बनाने के बाद then you will come on that. That how much time are you going to devote every month, every
Time
day?
and planning. Yes,
राइट.
ma'am.
सो शेड्यूल आपका जब बन जाएगा तब आप उसमें डालोगे ना कितने घंटे. सो एटलीस्ट मिनिमम, राइट, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद नाउ, क्योंकि 3 साल है. 2 hours एवरी डे to devote to studies. Whatever subjects you are taking, whatever things you are
Ma'am,
taking.
after scheduling, I'll go through the planning part because I have to plan that how many hours I'll be giving in the study factor, how many times I'll be giving in the uh, uh, different sources, resourcing different sources like newspapers and etc. But that will be covered in the study part and the exam
रिसोर्सिंग में भी आ गया ना,
test paper.
दोनों में आ गया.
Okay,
पहले
ma'am.
रिसोर्सिंग कर ली हमने, फाइंड आउट कर लिए, एंड देन आपका
Then
2 hours एवरी डे का शेड्यूल.
ma'am, your voice is not coming properly. Even not
Yeah,
coming.
you are mute.
सॉरी, आई वाज टॉकिंग टू माय सन. यप. फिर और क्या?
After that, I have to plan my test. Like we have to examine ourselves that am I going in the right track or not.
Mock
So
test.
a
मॉक
weekly
टेस्ट
test
कहते
for
हैं
that.
फिर. हाँ, मॉक
Weekly mock
टेस्ट
test for that. Yes.
वीकली. करेक्ट. गुड. और क्या?
Keep updating myself to time and being continuous and flexible according to the punctual. I'll say more like keep
पंक्चुअल तो है
continuous
ना,
and
2 hours आपने डिवोट करा है. See, SMART goals has to
okay,
be
ma'am.
measurable, something that you can measure. How will you measure your punctuality? That 2 hours अगर morning में नहीं चला गया, कहीं और चला गया है for studies, so then at night you are covering that. So
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
scheduled for yourself, that has to be maintained. Right? Punctuality is
Yes,
a result
ma'am.
that will
Like
come out of it. We are talking about goals. How are you going to achieve your bigger
analyzation.
goal?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
अरे यहाँ से
Yeah, Sakshi, now it's your turn. What's your goal?
Yeah,
Ma'am, I
so
have to
to
add
Did you want to add
one
something more? Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Analyzation of my work and the test paper also will be included in my plan.
Analysis and assessment. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
How often you are doing it? You are doing weekly, so it's really weekly, right?
Yes, ma'am. Weekly.
On the progress you are making. ठीक है जी? Done. So that's your goal. Sakshi, what's yours?
Yes. Thank you,
yeah,
ma'am.
so mine is to do MBA from a good college.
You want to do MBA from a good college नहीं होता कोई भी नाम बताओ institution का. A grade institution or B grade institution or C grade institution. That's how MBA institutions are known.
Okay, then B grade.
Why not A grade? बोली ऐसा रखोगे कि बी में जाना है तो सीडी में जाके एडमिशन मिलेगा.
Yeah, because it should be achievable, na?
हाँ, why not? You cannot achieve it. Which year you are in
In
graduation?
third year, last semester.
Last one. And you have started a job also. So you must congratulate Sakshi for getting a job first.
Yeah.
You all know?
No, ma'am. But
Then
I
you
want
should
to know.
congratulate. Yeah, she's just joined as an intern in some institution, some recruitment firm, right?
Yeah,
I saw.
Congratulations, Sakshi.
thank you.
तो फिर कैसे करोगे गोल पूरा? जॉब
So
ज्वाइन करने के
first,
साथ करना इज लाइक डिफिकल्ट, मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट थिंग.
yeah, it is part-time now, so I can manage.
सो एमबीए फ्रॉम अ गुड इंस्टीट्यूशन. ए ग्रेड लिख लेते हैं अभी.
Okay.
क्योंकि ब्रिगेड के लिए तो इतनी तैयारी करनी नहीं पड़ती है, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, इंडिया में. Yeah. So what are you going to do about it?
So now first I have to clear CAT with a good percentile within the 6 months.
You want to give CAT examination, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
तो CAT तो है ही सब ए ग्रेड के लिए.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want to do CAT. Clearing CAT करवाते. कितनी percentile?
85 plus percentile.
85.
Yeah.
गोल 90 का रखो ना कम से कम. 85 में तो कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा. How are you at mathematics?
Yeah, I'm good. Like in 11, 12 also I have taken maths with commerce.
फिर तो अच्छा होना चाहिए.
Yes, ma'am.
मैथ्स का गेम होता है सब कैट में.
Yes.
स्पीड एंड मैथ्स.
Yeah, speed only, ma'am.
वेदिक मैथ्स आता है.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
सो बस वही वाला सब सिस्टम फॉर्मूलाज है. क्विकली उसी से
Yeah.
ही फिटनेस आती है. You just have
Yes,
to
ma'am.
practice it
Practice
more.
is needed. That time I can't manage. Right
My
now.
maths was so poor. I could clear it, so I'm sure anybody with good maths can clear it. I was not a good student of math. Okay. पर हमारे टाइम में परसेंटाइल इतने ज़्यादा नहीं थे. Right now they are just accepting 99% percentile
Yes, ma'am.
for all the IIMs.
I am. Then I will study for about 4 to 6 hours daily.
4 to 6 hours daily. To studies. What else?
Then, daily reading of editorial newspaper blogs.
Studies में ही आ गया.
Okay. Then a weekly mock test to examine how my studies are going, preparation.
Yeah. What else?
And with that only I am doing also internships and all, so that this can be also helpful in my college direction.
नहीं समझ आया मुझे ये वाला पॉइंट.
So basically in MBA, what I have searched that different types of internships and certificate course are also important.
Not
So
for
I,
IIMs.
yeah, so yeah, in YouTube I have seen like one video that it was
Okay, so you want to acquire more experience, right?
experience.
In internships, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. और क्या?
And till now I am doing this all only. Nothing more.
इंटर्नशिप का जनरली इस वाले उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है, MBA from an A-grade institution. But yes, confidence can increase when you go for interviews. You actually have more experience in terms of, because you have managed to do a lot of internships. Okay, that's a good thing to add. Weekly test हो गया, more or less good. Okay, शिवान जी, आप बताएं आपका क्या गोल है?
Ma'am, I want to buy my own house.
Buy my own house. By when? Give a time period to it.
In 2 years.
और इसके लिए क्या क्या करने वाले हैं?
पहले तो सर्च करना पड़ेगा प्रॉपर्टी।
पहले तो फिक्स करना पड़ेगा ना, बजट कितना है आपका?
कितना बजट है? हाँ, राइट।
हाँ, so what is the budget? So you will do that first, right? Fix the budget as per savings and loans. You have to take loan for that. Okay. Usually हम नंबर लिखते हैं यहाँ पर, but because अभी हम पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे वो कर रहे हैं, so you can write your own number here. 50 लाख का बजट है, 40 लाख का है, 50 लाख, whatever. What next?
कितना मतलब कहाँ तक का ये है आपका प्लान, मतलब लेना है कितने?
एरिया
हाँ, 2, 3, 4 BHK.
तो क्या है प्लान? 2 bedroom या 3 bedroom?
2 ही लिखो ना। 2.
Okay.
फिर आएगा कि खुद से होगा या कुछ हेल्प की जरूरत पड़ेगी? मतलब
हो गया ना वो तो, सेविंग्स या लोन्स।
हाँ,
तो लोन्स के अंदर आ गया। अगर बजट हमारा 50 लाख है, जेब में 30 लाख पड़ा है, तो 20 लाख लोन होगा। We will see from which method. Here you can mention about savings versus how to increase savings. कि अगर सपोज 100 रुपए सैलरी आ रहा है अभी, 100 रुपए सैलरी में से कितना इस घर के बजट के लिए डालना है पर मंथ? खर्चा हल्का सा कम करके 20 रुपए डल रहा है, 25 रुपए डल रहा है, दैट हैव टू बी सीन। और लुक फॉर मोर ways to earn money.
साइड इनकम,
हाँ, any side income, any second income.
second income.
Second income options. Achieve the budgeted target. ठीक है, so this is how you will be able to reach and buy your house. स्वाति, आज आप बात करोगे? आज भी चुप रहने वाले हो पूरा टाइम? You're there, Swati? Okay, she's not here again. So this is what your goals are. I'll save this PPT and then I'll share it with you after the class so that you have smart goals, how to write it, and your own goals to remember that this is how I have to be online. Right, let's take just 5 minutes break. 9:20 or 7:20 or 7:25 पे आते हैं. Then I'll take you through unconscious biases. What are the kind of unconscious biases are there? PMA because performance management system और hiring में सबसे ज़्यादा हमारे judgment को assessment को problem में डालते हैं. How you can really avoid that? We will talk about some examples from real life. What are we going through? And then we will conclude performance management system today. Tomorrow we'll start the next topic, which is training and development.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Correct? Sure. So come back in 5 minutes. We'll start this. Thank you. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can see the screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a wonderful website, right? This particular website talks about all kind of unconscious biases that can happen, and why these biases needs to be taken away from our life so that we can live a very healthy and uh, what you call it, very conscious decisions of living a life in a proper manner. Because what happens in day-to-day life, like you can read the definition of what is unconscious bias. It basically leads to unconsciousness bias through our attitudes and stereotypes that we have kept feeding in our minds since very long time. Imagine a child at birth, and imagine a child now who has turned into a teenager or maybe an adolescent or an adult. How much difference is between that child and adult? The same person, same personality, but the mind has been corrupted completely. How the mind has been corrupted? So you leave a child of say 3 years of age or 4 years of age in the society, anywhere, right? Don't tell them that who is from which caste, who is from which creed, what is white and black, what are the colors, what are the age gaps, nothing. You don't tell child all these things, right? You leave that child of 3 years of age and you leave an adult of 23 years of age. And you will see a difference between how a child is able to make more friends than a 23-year-old person. No matter the 23-year-old person calls himself or herself as a very friendly person, can create still because of our biases, unconscious biases, we think and act in a certain manner that our decision making, our judgment is always been clouded by these biases. So that is the result. Why? What happens in performance management system and while hiring a person in the organization is our mind is so clouded with these kind of stereotypes and attitudes कि हम किसी को organization में hire करने के time पर ही start thinking ये सारी चीजें अभी आप पढ़ोगे जब एक एक करके then you will realize how much unconsciously we actually practice it. So the number one is gender bias. Very common. Everybody knows about it. What kind of gender bias? And gender bias is not just female and male as mentioned here. Again, transgenders now is also part of it. So what does it call? The gender bias is basically favoring one gender over another. Now a lot of advertisements that you see, job, what do you call it? Different job postings that is being posted on various platforms. Some job postings are very specific that they're looking for one particular gender. Only male preferred because it's a night duty, only female preferred because it's a receptionist job. So all these things, are there. And somehow these are unconscious bias that has been crept in our mind, that has been, we have been feeding it for so long that we don't really see a difference between whether we are doing it correctly or wrong. You read this paragraph, it says that this type of bias may affect your recruitment decisions and relationship dynamics within the company. If the panel prefers a male candidate more over female candidates with similar job and experience, that means it is a problem. And that has been going on. I don't know for how long. The gap has not reduced. In fact, after COVID, the gap was such huge. A lot of women from various industries left their jobs, especially in COVID time period, because of various factors that are affecting their continuation of job. क्योंकि घर पे खाना भी बनाना पड़ रहा था, पूरा टाइम घर पे देखना भी पड़ रहा था, घर से ही ऑफिस ज्वाइन करना पड़ता था, तो इट वाज बिकमिंग मोर डिफिकल्ट फॉर वुमेन. एंड देयर वाज अ स्टडी व्हिच वाज बीइंग डन कि उतने टाइम पीरियड में डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस भी बढ़ गया था, लोगों ने, लड़कियों ने जॉब छोड़ दिया था अपना अपना जो वो कर रहे थे, child abuse and women abuse बढ़ गया था. So all these things increased during that particular time period of corona when we were all there at home. So how we can avoid gender biases, gender neutral recruitment standards. I told you about a practice. Many organizations have started using it as blind hiring. That you don't ask for their names or photographs, you just seek their skills, attitudes, capabilities and competencies, and then decide and take decisions. Only after you have taken a decision, you can then call for the interview. And diversity and inclusion hiring. We studied about all these things in diversity and inclusion. Second is also related to DEI, which is ageism. So now ageism is another factor that generally happens in our mind. Again, हम लोग daily basis पर ही कर देते हैं वाला discrimination बहुत बार. We generally start calling Buddha, Buddhi is very common, biases that we use. They are very common biases. You move towards Western countries, इतना ज़्यादा नहीं वहाँ माना जाता इन चीज़ों को. In India, it is a little bit higher इन चीज़ों का, which should not be. An age should not be something where you can discriminate people for hiring or keeping them in the organization for longer period of time. Because somebody who is has got age to their side means they have more experience. And until and unless the quality needed to be changed or some competency needed to be changed or upgraded, you cannot really do a problem with their age in the organization. Even then, you can ask and seek whether the person you can run psychometric tests and aptitude tests, mental ability test on people to see whether they can change themselves at this stage or not. Right? A lot of banks have done this. So State Bank of India recently did this particular thing because वहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा old age लोग काम करते हैं. I mean, people above 40 usually works. Old age नहीं कहना चाहिए, people above 40. I will be 40 next year. So generally, this is what people have this thing कि SBI में आप जाओ तो बहुत बूढ़े लोग बैठे होते हैं, स्वेटर बुन रहे हैं, और they are just talking to each other, all these things. So now they did a mental ability test to seek whether these people can change and really work on technology or not. And trust me, the signals were really good. And what they did was SBI created a new software. They installed a new software into the entire organization completely in every branch, so that the people can work really much more smarter and swifter. And things change. Same people with training and after training, they were really working on these things. So ageism as a factor for unconscious bias can create a lot of different things. In fact, Age Discrimination Act, Employment Act के according भी ये सब चीज़ें is not correct. Rightly, you cannot really do that. But कहीं ना कहीं ultimately हम कर लेते हैं. जब हम hiring करने लगते हैं या हमें किसी को promotion देना होता है ना, we start thinking from those perspectives. And ageism is nothing to do just with age. Generally वहाँ आ जाता है कि अगर woman आई है job के लिए, we ask her, so you're 27. If she tells you, obviously you get to know the age क्योंकि resume में लिखा होता है. So you're 27, you're unmarried, कितनी जल्दी आपकी शादी होने वाली है, once you get married, are you planning to shift from different location? So all these questions starts coming up. Right? If the male comes for an interview, don't really ask these questions to a male member. So you need to see that on the basis of these things, you're not really taking care of, your organization, if has a rule of equal opportunity employment, you need to ensure that these bias does not really come up. कैसे अवॉइड कर सकते हो आप इसको? डोंट मेक assumptions based on age. फर्स्ट थिंग, प्रैक्टिस से होगा, बहुत ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ती है. एंड देन फोस्टर क्रॉस जनरेशन कोलैबोरेशन, बिकॉज जब तक ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कोलैबोरेशन पे काम नहीं करेंगे, दैट सम पीपल विद गुड एक्सपीरियंस, दैट मीन्स पीपल अबव 40-50 years of age, and people who are fresh from the colleges, उन दोनों की इकट्ठे टीम बनाकर then you can start working on this, so that you have experience and expertise also, and then you have new skills and technology with you also, so you can collaborate and start working on that. Third आता है name bias. Name bias कैसे आएगा? What is your idea about name bias? Have you done that ever?
Ma'am, I haven't done this ever, but people actually do it with the surname, because people want to know the surname, and on that basis and on the basis of the first name, actually also people do this biasness.
Surname के basis पे तो बहुत होता है. First name basis पे क्या होता है? Any examples have you gone through?
Like my name also, people say that it is a very common name, Anjali. So I think people judge Anjali, I don't know on what measure, and they call it that it is a very common.
कुछ होता है कि basis से measure किया जाता है.
Yes. Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's not a bad Anjali.
No, ma'am, there are also some like Anjali, तेरे लिए Patanjali से क्या लाऊं, and some Sunil Shetty's famous dialogues also. So it is
अच्छा,
like they cannot think of any other thing. Like there are also famous persons with the name of Anjali, but they don't think of that. But they just tease with this name. So
so
I have faced that.
teasing is different than biases. See, bias basically comes, uh, we talk about biases only when there is a harm that is being done to you indirectly. Teasing generally don't go that unless it is basically turns into bullying. It really does not
But
count for
ma'am,
these things. Yeah.
continuous basis पे ये सुनना भी एक तरीके से वो है, because
हाँ, so
they are
that
not.
becomes
Take
bullying
a
more.
stand.
Yes.
करेक्ट, हाँ, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली। अब अंजलि अगर तुम कहोगे इतना पुराना है तो अर्चना तो पता नहीं कौन सा जमाने का नाम हो गया। And
No,
to
ma'am,
add
it
to
is
it,
new with respect to Anjali, because people only think of the filmy dialogues and filmy name, but not with the other. There are many person who are famous with the name of Anjali, but they
राइट,
cannot think of that.
तो शिवांग को तो सब लोग शिवा भगवानी कहते होंगे।
शंकर बोलते हैं।
हाँ, वही हो जाता है। So these are very common biases that goes through. And imagine what happens when in organization you are actually doing a bias because of the name, then it's a very big problem. Right? That means the assessor or the interviewer who was hiring the person is absolutely not really a right person to hire in the organization. Right? ये छोटे छोटे हैं बट ये होते रहते हैं डेली बेसिस पे, इसलिए वी आर डिस्कसिंग दैट। देन यू हैव ब्यूटी बायस। अब ब्यूटी बायस तो वी नो इट्स इंडिया में तो भर भर के भरा हुआ है, राइट? योर लुक्स टॉक अबाउट इट, योर फिजिकल अपीयरेंस शुड बी मच मोर बेटर, चाहे शादी करनी हो लड़की से या जॉब पे रखता हो। सो यू हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ ब्यूटी स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉर एवरीथिंग, नॉट जस्ट फॉर वुमेन, इट्स फॉर मेन ऑल्सो। एंड पीपल से कि डार्कर स्किन के लिए होता है बट फेयर स्किन के लिए और भी बेकार तरीके के biases chalte hain. So I tell you an example of a woman I know. She came to me and she said कि मेरी शादी इसलिए नहीं हो रही है because she is very beautiful. So I said, yeah, we were doing coaching and I asked her कि ऐसा तो कभी होता नहीं, people generally look for more beautiful women. So she says कि every family I meet, they ask me कि आपका कोई ना कोई boyfriend तो रहा ही होगा, you're so beautiful. When I say no, I didn't get time, so they reject on that basis. I don't know मतलब what was the link, but yeah. So we always think from the opposite side कि people who are sultry or who are not really fair skin goes through that, but it's not really that. Stereotypes हमारे दिमाग में इतने बुरी तरीके से ये वाला बायस भरा हुआ है दैट पीपल रियली डू नॉट इवन थिंक बिफोर टेकिंग अ डिसीजन ऑन दिस बेसिस, राइट? यू प्रैक्टिकली इम्प्लीमेंट करके देखना है इसको। यू हैव टू वुमेन कमिंग इन फॉर एन इंटरव्यू, सिमिलर स्किल सेट, you will still prefer a woman who is more good looking than the person who is not really that good looking. अपने आप automatically सबके अंदर से आ जाता है, until unless you are trained to not do that. So it's very important that you avoid using this particular bias. So same thing, the first is omit pictures from the resume can be the one, then second is telephonic screening can be the one, which is really important. And looking into the skill set when you are doing performance management system, purely talk about skill set. People say different kind of stereotypes goes into organization that you are really beautiful इसीलिए आपको promotions मिल गई हैं. Everybody says these things to all the women, no matter whether they are talented, कितना skill है उनके पास, उन्होंने कितनी मेहनत करी है, they've gone through family pressures and all that thing, but what people generally want to see, and it's very common, like you are getting affected by a name Anjali right now. Once you are in the organization, the moment you get your first promotion, people start talking about it. If you're good looking also, yeah, I'm telling you, I've gone through it in our times. I told you that I was the only one in the core leadership team, all male members, I was the only woman, and they were always talks somewhere in the grapevine. I did not pay heed, I not really was affected by all these things. But yeah, this is somewhere you will keep hearing about these things about you. You are becoming successful, especially nowadays also. कि इसकी बॉस से बहुत बनती है, शी गोज आउट, ब्ला ब्ला, व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू टेक। आपका कैरेक्टर असैसिनेशन पहले होता है रादर देन योर स्किल्स दैट इज बीइंग, लाइक चाहे आप कितने अच्छे हो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, सबको मालूम है दैट यू आर बेटर देन द अदर फीमेल। other male counterparts. Still, this is the type of things. So you need to ensure how to avoid that. I need to ensure that you are actually creating जितनी transparency और communication अच्छा होगा organization में, the more you will be able to support all the genders in the organization really well. Then halo effect. Now, halo effect is something that is been going on. Again, a very, very common example of how the different kind of biases happens in the people's mind. Generally, इसके अंदर क्या होता है कि हम एक पहले से इमेज बना लेते हैं लोगों को बारे में, and keeping in mind how they have been, I mean, with very limited information. You don't have the entire information about a person's capability or capacity, but you still create a kind of halo effect. Halo effect वो होता है जो हमारे सर के ऊपर, it's like a, जैसे जीसस के ऊपर दिखाते हैं सर के ऊपर, there is an angel kind of a thing which is there. That's called halo. So halo effect is that you don't know anything about that person, still you have created an image purely keeping in mind how people have been talking about this particular. So, for example, police वाले रिश्वत लेते हैं is a very common halo effect. Right? So that has been going on. So how you can really avoid that particular kind of things? It's not really necessary that people only from the prestigious institutions can excel in a particular job. Right? There are a lot of examples. Like a lot of people give advertisement for job postings in newspapers and other places that they are looking only for IMs for hiring. It's not necessary that people who are from IMs, I'm telling you, I have met so many dumb people from IMs. Right? Not dumb in terms of their qualification, knowledge wise सब अच्छे थे, but dumb in the sense बाकी सब overall चीज़ों को लेकर, general knowledge was dumb. They didn't know anything about what is going on in the politics. They didn't know a lot of things. Emotional empathy क्या होती है, लोगों को कैसे manage करना है, completely dumb in the sense they hardly would know anything. Right? So these are the examples that is there. And अगर ऐसा होता कि सिर्फ IIMs वाले ही leaders बन जाते, तो every organization would be having all the IIMs graduates only, which is not the case, right? So this is a very wrong stereotype which has been going on, halo effect which is going on, and hence we need to avoid that. फिर आता है हॉर्न्स इफेक्ट, हेलो का जस्ट ऑपोजिट. Here you create a negative impression of somebody on the basis of the trait, one experience or trait that you have. Right? उसमें हेलो इफेक्ट में पॉजिटिव वाला होता है, इसके अंदर नेगेटिव होता है. दैट्स द डिफरेंस. सो दिस इज हाउ यू क्रिएट समथिंग ऑन अ सिंगल ट्रेट एंड देन यू स्टार्ट बेसिकली ट्रीटिंग दैट पर्सन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आप किसी का अप्रेजल कर रहे हो, राइट, अब उसका आपका इनिशियल शुरू के महीनों में, जैसे हमने केस स्टडी भी पढ़ा था, राइट, जॉय एंड रॉय वाला, a newly person has joined in the organization, उसका induction orientation किसी ने लिया था, they had conflict between the two. So this basically talks about horn effect, क्योंकि उसका पहला impression with the recruiter or the person who has onboarded him was really not good. So वो लाइफ टाइम अगर उसको ढंग से हम हैंडल नहीं करेंगे तो वो लाइफ टाइम चलता रहेगा till the time both of them are there in the organization. Right, so that has to be avoided. जो कहते हैं first impression is the last impression usually is a wrong thing. That first impression is last impression is based on this halo effect and horn effect, which should not be the case. Right? You can always change your impression on the basis of the situation you are in, circumstances, and obviously your skills and knowledge obviously comes to play. Then आता है confirmation bias. Confirmation bias क्या होता है कि when you are taking a decision on certain things, आपकी बात कोई नहीं मान रहा है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट. सो हाउ यू एक्चुअली प्रूव योर पॉइंट. किसी को भी आप बुलाकर अपने साथ मिला लेते हो, यू जनरली से कि ओके फाइन, दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट वी आर नीड टू टेक केयर ऑफ दिस. एनीबडी हु वैलिडेट्स योर आइडिया basically gets into this confirmation bias knowingly. You know that the idea, the solution, anything that you're introducing in the organization is not right. You have not really done the research properly. You don't know the right and wrong effects of that particular thing, or you are aware. Still आप किसी ना किसी को मिला लेते हो उसको वैलिडेट करने के लिए, just for your ego and just for your happiness, for a short term momentarily thing. That is called confirmation bias. Right? Usually long term में it brings lot of difficulties for people, because आपने उस टाइम पे तो किसी को वैलिडेट कराने के लिए अपना आइडिया प्रूव करा लिया, but in a long term basis it is not really going to be a great solution for the organization. तो इसका आइडिया क्या है कि you always do a better research. Always, I mean, how you can avoid confirmation biases, you can gather multiple resources involved into taking decisions. It should not be based on just one person's validity or two persons validity. Sometimes क्या होता है, organization, I'll tell you from the practical experiences. You have to take performance appraisal, आपने कर दिया, पूरा system follow कर लिया. Now you have to take a decision whether this person needs कितना percentage का raise in the organization. अब उसका जो immediate manager है, he is not happy with the person because of the performance and how he or she did perform in the entire year. But बाकी के दो लोग डिपार्टमेंट के बाहर के कोई दो सेल्स हेड है, they are sales head, marketing head, whatever head, they are okay with this thing. So what this person does, जिसका performance appraisal होना है, he or she goes out to different functional heads and asks them कि उसको validate कर दे कि she should be the one who should be getting, and she can always, he or she can do it from the various ways, whatever ways they want to use it. So that validation from other department head, if there is just one person, on the request of the person, should not be taken into consideration. How you need to do your performance appraisal is on the basis of the ratings that has been given, and then do a general consensus. If there is more than one person involved, then you can ask all other functional heads, क्योंकि जैसे विचार का होता है, हमारा जो अप्रेजल्स होता है उसके अंदर हम जनरली बाकी डिपार्टमेंट हेड्स के भी व्यूज ले लेते हैं कि कैसा होना है, right? So if the other department heads are involved into the process of doing a performance appraisal, you just need to take the consensus. जिसके ज़्यादा वोटिंग आए हैं उसके बेसिस पर आप चले गए कि आपका असेसमेंट फेयर है नहीं फेयर है. So that confirmation bias. If only one person is giving validity to you and you are going through that और वो powerful है, it's not really a good sign, right? That's how the confirmation biases work. Then आता है conformity bias. Now conformity bias is basically the moment you are in a group, you change your decision on the basis of what group is thinking very easily. Right? Popularity उस पे चले जाते हैं, because this decision is more popular, this thing is more popular, most people are talking about this, even when you know that they might be incorrect, that their data is not really completely researched upon, whatever opinions they have is not really correct, still you do that. And most of the life we do conformity biases. How we do conformity biases? कि बहुत सारी दुनिया MBA कर रही है तो मुझे भी MBA करना है, बहुत सारे लोग डॉक्टर बन रहे हैं इसलिए मुझे भी बनना है क्योंकि मेरी फैमिली भी कह रही है, मेरे टीचर्स भी कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि मेडिकल इज अ गुड प्रोफेशन. यू आर नॉट फाइंडिंग आउट वेदर द पर्सन्स इंटरेस्ट, देयर पैशन and their personality is meant for that or not. And that is the reason over a period of last 10 years you have seen a shift. लोग डर के मारे अपने पेरेंट्स की बात मान के पढ़ाई कर लेते हैं, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली पेरेंट्स आर सपोर्टिंग. इंडिया के अंदर अभी ऐसा ही होता है, एजुकेशन इज बीइंग सपोर्टेड बाय पेरेंट्स, तो वो मान के उनकी बात कर लेते हैं. बट द मोमेंट दे स्टार्ट अर्निंग, दे स्टार्ट गेटिंग सम मनी, दे रियलाइज कि दे आर नॉट हैप्पी इन दैट, then they start taking shift towards from that job to another, maybe a completely drastically different segment in a different kind of money making thing, anything that they are doing. So this is a very small example. So conformity bias generally happens purely because we keep listening from a larger group that this thing is really good, and then we start following that blindly, right? How you can avoid this? You can avoid this in hiring or in workplaces by using anonymous votes and surveys majorly, and then ask for opinions in advance from people. Then आता है affinity bias. Affinity bias, affinity जैसे meaning, affinity word का meaning ये है कि similarity ढूंढते हैं हम अपने जैसी. So any similarity that you find common in people, you automatically get attracted towards them. Attracted in the sense for taking a decision or in whatever manner. So for example, if you're taking a hiring decision and you feel somebody is here who is from your village, from your city, maybe a schoolmate, anything, so वो affinity bias अपने आप automatically बन जाता है. कोई भी चीज़ कॉमन निकल आती है, कुछ भी सिमिलैरिटी है, एक्सपीरियंसेस, इंटरेस्ट, बैकग्राउंड, अगर उनका सिटी भी नहीं मैच कर रहा है या बैकग्राउंड एक्सपीरियंस भी नहीं मैच कर रहे हैं, आपका एक इंटरेस्ट कि अच्छा ओके यू आल्सो बुक फॉलो बुक क्लब, आई एम आल्सो मेंबर ऑफ बुक क्लब, और अदर बुक्स यू रीड, आई आल्सो रीड दिस बुक्स, यू लाइक दिस बुक, आई लव दिस बुक, ओके यू आर हायर्ड. Right? So these are the things which happens, and this is very common. Organization में अभी तो आप hiring कर रहे हो when you don't know this person really well. Imagine now the person is here working with you throughout. So many affinity biases happens. Right? ये मेरे साथ सुट्टा पीता है, सिगरेट पीने जाता है, ये मेरे साथ चाय पीता है, ये मेरे साथ ड्रिंक करने जाता है, ये सब चीज़ें और भी इसके अंदर हो जाती हैं. It's very very common and people should try and avoid it at any cost because smoking cigarettes or drinking is not really the way of taking decision for a person. जो लोग इस चीज़ के अंदर आ भी जाते हैं, मतलब एक तो मैनेजर्स होते हैं जो इस बेस पर उनको आगे बढ़ा देते हैं. आई एम सरप्राइज कि क्यों मैनेजर्स ऐसे काम करते हैं. Instead of having a skilled person, why do you want somebody who smokes with you? Second, if it is happening with you, you need to know and see कि अगर मेरा प्रमोशन या मुझे ज़्यादा पैसे इसीलिए मिल रहे हैं because I am smoking cigarettes with this person is not really something which is contributing in my growth and my personality. Ultimately, it is going to come down to me when I change the team. अगर मेरा team manager change हो जाएगा या organization change हो जाएगी, obviously these questions are going to be asked. So best is to learn, get that skill, work on that skill for a longer time period so that you are aware. उसके बाद अगर ये हो रहा है so then still you are okay with that because you at least know the things very well and you know कि चाहे सिगरेट पी रहा हूँ या ना पी रहा हूँ, my promotion is happening purely on the basis of my work. इसका अवॉइड कैसे कर सकते हैं हम एफिनिटी बायस को ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में? बाय क्रिएटिंग अ डाइवर्स हायरिंग पैनल. जितना डाइवर्स हायरिंग पैनल होगा या जितना डाइवर्स परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल पैनल होगा उतना ही ज़्यादा आप इस चीज़ पर कम कंट्रोल कर पाओगे. And don't hire only for the cultural fit in the organization, look for merits. Cultural fit मतलब cultural fit वो नहीं है कि सप्ताह ब्रेक वाला और हमारे साथ बाहर जाके शराब पीने वाला. Cultural fit is basically the fit which is there in the organization overall. सब चीज़ों के अंदर मिक्स हो रहा हूँ. हाँ, अब कॉन्ट्रास्ट इफेक्ट क्या होता है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, contrast effect is difficult to explain. It basically happens that you were okay with something initially and later on because you found out कि बाकी सब लोग कुछ और चीज चूज कर रहे हैं, so you suddenly change your decision कि now I'm not okay with this thing. Right? So for example, your manager, इस पे भी example दिया हुआ है, your manager is telling you that your performance is this, you know, so you're not really very great, not really very high potential kind of a person, you're an average rater. We are giving you average rating, so you're fine with that because that interview is being done and everything is being done. But later on, you found out that your manager has given good ratings to 4 of your teammates. तो सडनली नाउ यू आर इन अ प्रॉब्लम एरिया कि मैंने ही कैसे अपने आप को मान लिया और बाकी सब मुझसे ज़्यादा बेटर है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड कॉन्ट्रास्ट इफेक्ट व्हेन यू आर कंपेयरिंग योर थिंग्स without even knowing that on what basis you're comparing your skills and your parameters with the other teammates. A comparison होता है that you know about your performance, that this is what you have performed in the entire year, your organization, and you know your manager and you had a discussion and you're convinced that your performance was not really that great. Right? Now suddenly you start comparing on the basis of how other people have done without even looking into your own parameters. क्योंकि हर एक के पैरामीटर्स अलग होते हैं, right? और every individual हर एक की competency अलग होती है. So that becomes a contrast effect when you change your decision purely on the basis of how other people are happy with their ratings or not. Then I status quo. मुझे भी याद नहीं है क्या है exactly. I'm just reading it. Sorry for that. Status to change. Acha, okay. So status quo is basically you're hiring it's very common. It's very similar to halo effect as well, halo and horn effect. Right? You started hiring people, or you started giving preference to people on the basis of how they are actually performing into the, sorry, not how they are performing into the organization, but on the basis of what demographic group they are from. So इसका एक बहुत common example organization में होता है loyalty वाले basis पर लोगों को promotion दे देना. Somebody who's not really performed well into the entire year, but they have been very loyal to the management. They will inform each and everything to the organization's head. They will go and tell them that these are the things which is going on. This is a grapevine. This is a rumor. So purely on the basis of their loyalty factor, they are being given a lot of appraisals, or hired in the organization. So you need to see that status quo, जैसा नाम suggest करता है, that purely on the basis of how your relationship is with people in the organization, you're getting your appraisals. Right? And this relationship is purely on the basis of how you are from similar demographic group, or you are basically giving them information that they require out of the place that is not going through them directly. So these are the things that comes into the picture, right, for this particular thing. How you can avoid this? Use the framing effect. So framing effect basically is you are looking for people who are from different diverse background completely, that you can do. फ्रेमिंग इफेक्ट तब आता है जब आप किसी को एक ढांचे में डालकर देखना चाहते हो, एंड दैट ढांचा इज रेडी विद यू. सो एनीथिंग दैट यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड योरसेल्फ. सो फॉर एग्जांपल सेलिब्रिटीज होते हैं, राइट? यू सी ऑल द एक्ट्रेस एंड एक्ट्रेसेस इन मूवीज. सो यू हैव अ कंप्लीट आइडिया अबाउट देयर पर्सनालिटी कि जैसे वो ऑन स्क्रीन है, दिस इज हाउ दे आर गोइंग टू बी इन देयर रियल लाइफ. Right? So we put them into this framing effect. But what happens when you meet them? Maybe sometimes you meet them outside the movie theater, so you meet them in person, and you get to know that they are not really the same kind of heroism. They don't have that qualities. They don't really show that. Maybe they are cowards. They are not really a good personality. They are rude. So all these things. So this is what it changes the entire decision of that. So we try and see people from a very limited point of view. But ultimately, when we have to hire them or give them appraisal, we need to see whether they have different kind of capacity and capabilities than what you are just looking from, which frame you are looking them from. Right? फिर आता है एंकर बायस. बहुत लोग एंकर बायस और स्टीरियोटाइप्स और हैलो इफेक्ट पे कंफ्यूज होते हैं. वेरी सिमिलर टू व्हाट स्टीरियोटाइप्स आर. जनरली हम क्या होता है कि हमें जो पहले इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है किसी के भी बारे में, वी स्टार्ट क्रिएटिंग आवर डिसीजन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एंकर बायस. राइट? फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आपको पता चला कि कोई अनएम्प्लॉयड है फॉर 6-7 महीने, फॉर 1 year, फॉर 2 years, यू स्टार्ट just keeping your judgment from that perspective instead of talking about what is the skill set उसने 1 साल के अंदर और कितनी नई skills acquire की हैं, what are the reasons of that 1 year break. All those things you're not going into. What you are just looking into is that one piece of information, and that gets affected in your mind too much. Right? और ऐसे ही हैलो इफेक्ट और हॉर्न इफेक्ट और स्टीरियोटाइप्स में भी होता है जनरली, that you have very limited information about somebody or some particular community and you start creating. हम इतना generalize कर देते हैं stereotypes और halo effect में, तो anchor bias में still इतना नहीं होता है, but उन दोनों के अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है. एक पूरी कौम को ही, जैसे बिहारी हो गया, अब किसी का भी नाम ले लो आप कि कौन के काम किया होगा, सपोज स्ट्रेट से मैच करता तो बिहारी ये काम किया होगा. पूरी हमने एक जनरलाइज स्टेटमेंट इतनी कर दी. रिश्वत किसने लिया होगा? पुलिस वाले ने रिश्वत लिया होगा. अगेन पूरी एक जनरलाइज, कितने पुलिस वाले हैं, कितने लैक्स ऑफ पीपल आर वर्किंग. डू यू थिंक एवरीबडी इज एक्चुअली मेकिंग मनी आउट ऑफ द पॉकेट एक्सपेंसेस? नॉट रियली. राइट? सो वी हैव टू सी वेयर एंड हाउ वी हैव टू यूज इट and how we can actually look into the entire perspective from a different viewpoint. Right? So जैसे इसको आप कैसे अवॉइड कर सकते हो, आपके पास एक स्मॉल इंफॉर्मेशन है और जिसके ऊपर आपने अपना बेसिस कर लिया डिसीजन, that you conduct thorough research about the candidate when you are hiring or you are keeping them in mind. Right? क्यों उसकी किसी एक चीज़ के अंदर उसकी परफॉर्मेंस क्यों खराब रही, क्यों टीम मेंबर्स उसको सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, या वट एवर इज द रीजन. सो नीड टू नो एंड डू अ प्रॉपर रिसर्च कि क्यों उसके साथ ऐसा हो रहा है, एंड देन यू टेक अ पॉसिबल सोल्यूशन आउट ऑफ दैट. एंड देन सेकेंड इसका अवॉइड करने का है कि ब्रेनस्टॉर्म. मोर पीपल यू इन्वॉल्व इन द डिसीजन मेकिंग, ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग होगा, people will have different narratives about that particular person, and they can share their strengths and weakness, and then you can take a decision on the basis of that. Authority bias, again very common. जो भी हमारी किसी सीनियर अथॉरिटी ने कह दिया, या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर या घर के अंदर, we start blindly following that person completely, right? For example, अगर हमारे फादर ने आके कुछ घर में रूल बना दिया, so we generally have to follow that rule. No matter, even as a child, even as a kid, even as an adult, you don't really see that it's the right thing to do or not, right? You have many questions कि क्यों ऐसा discipline कर रहे हैं. For example, बहुत common सा example है कि घर पे 8 बजे आने का रूल लड़कियों के लिए है, लड़कों के लिए नहीं है. They can come late. You know that it's a wrong decision. Still, you're not going against them purely because he is an authoritative figure in the family. So that is an authoritative bias. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर भी ऐसा होता है कि मैनेजर ने कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे दिए, मैनेजर ने कहा कि ये सही है, तो सब लोग ने कहा कि सही है, which may not be correct. So what you need to do in that scenario, you need to ask questions. You need to know in details why these things are being given. इसीलिए हम कहते हैं कि ट्रांसपेरेंसी जितनी होगी, जितना कम्युनिकेशन फ्लो क्लियर होगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर, उतना ही ज़्यादा ये सब बायसेस होने के चांसेस कम हैं. ठीक है. एंड देन सेकेंड इज डू योर रिसर्च. जितना आप रिसर्च करोगे उसके बारे में, एम्प्लॉय के बारे में, कैंडिडेट के बारे में, जितना फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स साथ में होगा, तो फिर आप लोगों की बातों पे बिलीव करना कम कर दोगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, नाउ लेट्स टेक एन एग्जाम्पल दैट आई एम योर मैनेजर. आई एम इन अ हैबिट ऑफ कि मेरे साथ जो सिगरेट पिएगा, आई विल गिव प्रमोशन टू दैट पर्सन. So I have 3, Shivang, Sakshi, Anjali. Anjali doesn't smoke, Sakshi and Shivang smokes with me almost every day. We take breaks. What I did was, when we are doing performance management system, I said Shivang ज़्यादा बढ़िया है, उसको इतना प्रमोशन दे देते हैं because I prefer him over others. Now अब बहुत सी कंपनीज ऐसी होती है कि मैनेजर है, कह दिया तो मान लेते हैं. There are other companies and there are good HR departments who says that these are the figures of Anjali's background. This is the skill set. These are the parameters. These are the KPIs. She worked on these things and she is much ahead of Shivang in some areas. So why not give to Anjali, why to Shivang? So this is what you need to do in the organizations. You need to ask questions. You need to check figures and facts, because हर एक चीज available होती है organization में. You need to go back and see what are the parameters and on what parameters के basis पे we are giving them hiring या appraisals जो भी चल रहे हैं. ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस बायस अगेन वेरी कॉमन, जैसा कि नेम स्टेट करता है, राइट, कि उनको लगने लगता है कि वी आर बेटर देन अदर पीपल जस्ट बिकॉज वी आर वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट, राइट. नॉलेज वाइज चाहे जीरो होते हैं, प्योरली बिकॉज ऑफ देयर कैरिज्मा, बिकॉज दे रियली लुक गुड, दे रियली हैव सर्टेन in terms of, you will see that some people, for example, बहुत common सा example देती हूँ. I wrote a blog long time back on this particular topic. I'm not sure if some of you are Shah Rukh Khan fan, right? So Shah Rukh Khan एक actor है. Let's take an example, and Ajay Devgn is another actor. Right? On a basis of popularity या overconfidence bias, you will see that Shah Rukh Khan is much more popular. Wherever he goes, from his wit and charm, he generally do that. But if you see on the basis of skills and the number of movies and how good an actor should be, emotions पे किस तरीके से perform करने में, act करने में, Ajay Devgn would be much more better, right? This is what overconfidence bias is. Purely on the basis of the charisma that Shah Rukh Khan created very early in his career, he actually started showing off too much, right? His success, how he was going out, how he was performing at every stage. You will see कि अजय देवगन ने शायद ही किसी की शादी ब्याह में जाकर डांस वांस किया होगा, एंटरटेन किया होगा लोगों को, but Shah Rukh Khan did opposite. He started going to meet a lot of people. He started going to different kind of, चाहे कितनी भी छोटी शादी हो, कितनी बड़ी शादी हो, totally depending upon the money he was getting. So he was working towards that thing. So what happens was his confidence started growing. And because of the confidence started growing, he started doing a lot of charismatic thing instead of marketing himself in that manner, which Ajay Devgn did not do. This is called overconfidence bias when you know that your skill set is less. Initially अगर आप उसके बारे में पढ़ोगे, so he was being called an actor जिस par excellence नहीं था कभी भी. शाहरुख खान की एक्टिंग स्किल्स के बारे में कभी तारीफ नहीं होती थी. People were this thing, but he started getting this popularity purely because he started buying some awards on a regular basis. Consider the consequences. कैसे अवॉइड करेंगे अब आप इनको? ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में भी ऐसा बहुत होता है. You become popular purely because you are happy-go-lucky. You meet everybody. You are very congenial. You talk to everyone. So you become overconfident कि मेरा काम छोटा मोटा इधर उधर हो भी जाएगा. So people still will believe that I am more popular. Right? There are people who do not know how to sell and market their work. What they do is अपना डेली का काम इतने अच्छे से करते हैं कि उनका टाइम खुद का भी खत्म हो जाता है, वो दूसरों का भी काम कर लेते हैं. बहुत सारे एम्प्लॉयज मिलेंगे आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, बट दे डोंट नो हाउ टू सेल. और उनके बारे में पॉपुलैरिटी वोट मिला जाएगा या सीईओ से पूछा जाएगा कि आपको शिवांग कैसे लगता है. शिवांग कौन है कंपनी के अंदर? काम तो बहुत अच्छा करता है, बट ही इज नेवर मेट शिवांग. ऑन द अदर साइड देयर इज साक्षी, जो रोज मिलती है, सबसे हाय हेलो करती है. शी इज वेरी पॉपुलर इन द कंपनी. यू आस्क द सीईओ, यू नो साक्षी? Yeah, I know Sakshi because she's happy-go-lucky. I see her every day. She comes and say hello to me. So that becomes a complete bias on the basis of overconfidence of a person. Right? कई चीज़ों के लिए अच्छा भी है, कई चीज़ों के लिए it's not good. Then perception bias. Perception bias तो बहुत common है, रोज करते हैं. You create perceptions about certain people in your life. Right? Any example that you want to give this time? ये बहुत कॉमन है, ये हर रोज होता है, हर मिनट.
Generally we perceive someone based on their uh, qualification or by looks also, or by how they talk, how they interact with the person. On that basis, we usually do it. I have not done this. Like I am not remembering
How do
anything that
you?
I've done.
I tell
Like,
you. Just
Ma'am,
the
in
example
college
मैं
also
देती
we
हूँ.
do by
हाँ.
making friends also, that we have to make perception about some people that yeah, she is not good or she don't talk like me, so I will not do friendship with her. So these
Correct.
are like perception first.
Absolutely. So we create perceptions on the basis of very normal information that we have. Right? And everybody's perception can differ from each other, and our perceptions are never the reality. Right? The moment we start realizing that the perceptions can never be reality till the time we have researched upon it properly. Only when it is it's backed with facts and figures, then it can be. For example, बहुत सारा, it's a very common perception about people that transgenders cannot perform good work in the organization. Right? कि वो सिर्फ क्रिएटिवली अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं, साइंटिफिकली अच्छा काम नहीं कर सकते हैं. Again, this is on the basis of a perception that we have created for a long period of time. Similar perceptions, basis on the stereotypes also we have heard, very lack of information, we create these kind of perceptions. परसेप्शन का हम जनरली मूवी दिखाते हैं जब हम अनकॉन्शियस बायस की ट्रेनिंग देते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में. सो देयर वाज अ जापानीज मूवी बेस्ड ऑन अ रेप व्हिच हैपेंड. दिस रेप हैपेंड ऑन अ स्ट्रीट, रोड साइड, कंप्लीटली. 4 लोग उसके वो थे, people who saw this rape happening, and all the 4 people have seen that particular incident happening, but चारों का point of view were different completely. जब वो कोर्ट में आते हैं, it's basically a court case kind of a movie, और wonderfully done. चारों लोगों ने एक ही किस्सा देखा है, एक ही टाइम पे देखा है, एग्जैक्टली सेम चीज होते हुए देखी है, पर चारों का इतना डिफिकल्ट था परसेप्शन वहां पर उसको करना कि जज वाज रियली कंफ्यूज what kind of decision he should take for that. Right? One person shares a story purely on the basis of their experiences. उनको पहले जितने experiences थे, subconscious mind में जो भी information थी, उसके basis पे वो जो story उन्होंने वहाँ देखी, उसको उन्होंने किस तरीके से सुनाया court case में. So these 4 people narrate the incident. and in a different manner altogether. I think Hindi में भी बनी थी ये movie, मुझे नाम नहीं याद है, but it's a wonderful movie to watch. मतलब even now it's one of the favorite movies that I show in my training sessions. You should watch that movie. I'll share the name in the group. So this will tell you how perceptions are created and how on the basis of perception we actually live our life so deeply and we get affected so much because हम reality के पास पहुंचते ही नहीं है कभी भी, right? Some people started calling that woman character, ये तो आजकल normally हो गया है इंडिया में तो, right?
I think that movie name is Pink. Amitabh Bachchan's movie.
I'll tell you the name. I'm not able to recall that name right now. I'll share it with you in the group. It's a wonderful thing to see. ऐसे ही जैसे आजकल हमारा political system चल रहा है, right? We have created a perception that BJP is a very good party purely because Modi is doing good work. But what happens? हम लोग states की performance देखना ही भूल गए हैं. What states are doing, what's the state CMs are doing. पहले क्या होता था कि people were voting purely on the basis of कि हमारे local MLA ने कितना वो किया है, कितना state wise हमारा चल रहा है. Right now, even the party also talks only about Modi. They don't talk about BJP at all. BJP is gone. After Vajpayee, people have stopped talking about BJP as a party. जैसे कांग्रेस को एसोसिएट कर दिया गांधी के साथ, इवन द सिमिलर थिंग दे आर नाउ. वो वैसे कह रहे हैं कि हम इससे अफेक्टेड है, they should not do this, but still they are following the same story. और उसका नतीजा क्या हुआ? You saw the election thing today. Karnataka, they actually lost and with major numbers. I was not even thinking, मतलब it was a surprise totally how they lost Karnataka, जहाँ पर इतने टाइम से BJP was ruling. So this is the right way of perception bias. Basically, it's a very right example of perception bias, that you're creating a perception of one person for 140 crore population. How can that be possible that one single person, even if we see कि Modi ji is very great, he is performing 18 hours of work, जो भी उनकी qualities ये लोग गिनाते हैं, मान भी लेते हैं कि वो ये सब करते हैं, he's a superhuman and all that, still can you believe that only one person can do and make some changes? He or she cannot. You need to see कि किस तरीके के पार्टी वर्कर्स काम कर रहे हैं, कौन एमएलए है, कौन हमारे एरिया में काम कर रहा है. रोड की हालत आप बैंगलोर में चले जाओ, ओवर अ 10 years of time period, Bangalore has gone into such a bad state. It was such a beautiful city earlier. I'm not saying कि कांग्रेस ने बनाया था, but it was very beautiful city because of the development, because of the roads, the condition, everything is gone so wrong with that particular city. राइट. एंड पीपल बिकॉज बैंगलोर वहाँ का मेजर रिवेन्यू मेकर है, तो इसीलिए लोग कर्नाटका में बैंगलोर की बात ज़्यादा करते हैं. एंड दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई दे हैव लॉस्ट दिस इलेक्शन. एंड आई थिंक दे शुड टेक अप these lessons. So this is how the perception bias is basically created, purely on the basis of few assumptions that you have, right? The accuracy of statement we don't check, we don't really go into the details, and that is the reason why we start following into this perception rule completely. फिर आता है इल्यूजरी कोरिलेशन. इल्यूजरी कोरिलेशन इज जब आप किसी दो चीजों को एक दूसरे के साथ कोरिलेट करके देखना शुरू कर देते हैं, राइट? फॉर एग्जांपल, this example is absolutely correct. A hiring manager asks a candidate interview questions in an effort to gain insight to their personality which are unrelated to the job itself, right? So since the candidate struggles to come up with the answers, the hiring manager decides they will not be a good fit, which is basically that आपका कोई लेना देना नहीं है कि वो किस तरीके की बुक पढ़े आपकी जॉब से रिलेटेड. अगर कैंडिडेट ने कहा है माय हॉबी इज बुक रीडिंग, somehow he or she is not able to come up with the right kind of a book, name of the book or the story of the book does not really comprises कि आपने उसको रिजेक्ट कर दिया है. That should not ideally be the right kind of a way of judging somebody's performance, right? Until unless it is affecting their job. अगर उसकी जॉब लाइब्रेरी में है या उसकी जॉब रिसर्च करना है या उसकी जॉब में रीडिंग एंड लिटरेचर इन्वॉल्व है, देन ऑब्वियसली यू कैन टेक दैट डिसीजन. But if you are hiring a hiring manager and then you are asking this question, has no relevance directly. You can check general knowledge of a person with this, but you cannot. So this is called illusory correlation. कि आप जबरदस्ती correlation बिठा रहे हैं जहां पर उसकी जरूरत नहीं भी है. Then आता है heuristic effect. Now, heuristic effect basically talks about your emotions. When you bring your emotions into the decision making completely. And now your emotions can be totally dependent on कि आप किस situation में वहाँ पर बैठे हैं. Suppose you are affected by something which is bothering. आपके interview से पहले या आपका performance management के लिए decision लेने से पहले you got a call from your family that some aunt of yours has died. Right? And suddenly you are in that emotional state which is not really correct for taking a right decision. So what you do is purely on the basis of that heuristic effect, you get so emotional and you say whatever decision you take, whether to hire the person or not to hire the person. So in the heat of the moment, generally हम कोई भी emotions हमारे ऊपर हावी होते हैं, which can be anger, which can be temperament, which can be uh, too much of vulnerability emotions. So any kind of emotions, if they are really have controlled our mind, is called heuristic effect bias. Then recency bias, favorite of mine, इसके बारे में हमने बात भी करी थी. Recency bias is something that you don't remember their overall performance of the year, but you are just giving them ratings purely on the basis of 1 or 2 months. Recent incidences, recent numbers that you remember. ये तब होता है organizations में when you don't keep a record of the things, and that is the reason why reviews are so important. That you're recording information, you're recording facts and figures. You have the numbers in front of you कि हर महीने कितना contribution किया, क्या क्या चीज़ों में गलत हुए, क्या नहीं हुए, and then उसका वो भी avoid भी इसी को इसी तरह कर सकते हैं. You start taking notes, you take mental breaks so that you don't really get affected by. और recency effect interviews में और भी होता है क्योंकि पिछले वाले 2 कैंडिडेट अच्छे नहीं थे तो हम अज्यूम कर लेते हैं कि थर्ड वाला भी अच्छा नहीं होगा, या वो बहुत अच्छे थे तो हम थर्ड वाले को भी मान लेते हैं कि ये भी अच्छा होने वाला है. Something like that can also happen. So anything which can be affected by recency comes under recency effect. Now, idiosyncratic rater bias basically happens when you're evaluating the performance of others on the basis of subjective interpretations. अब जैसे subjective interpretations क्या होती हैं, आपने अपनी definition दी हुई है किसी चीज़ के लिए, and it's not necessary that your definition of that particular thing. So for example, हमने success के बारे में बात किया था एक बार, right? What are the parameters of success for you? So success for each person can differ purely on the basis of what they are and what they want in their life. So maybe for me, success is that I have freedom of time with me. Whenever I want to get up, whenever I want to sleep, I can have that much, and obviously the money to look after things. For some people, success would be कि मेरे पास Mercedes हो, मेरे पास बड़ा बंगला हो, swimming pool भी हो, उसके अंदर सब कुछ हो. So for every person, success can differ from one person to another. और ऐसा तो है नहीं कि Sadhguru is not successful and only Ambani is successful. Both are successful in their own areas, purely on the parameters that they have assessed for themselves. So that's called idiosyncratic rater bias. कि आपका definition success का अलग है, but maybe because आप candidate जो भी आपके सामने है for appraisal or for hiring उनका अलग है, so you start rejecting them on that basis, right? So these are the biases that is there. Now next topic is basically how to tackle unconscious biases. These are the 6 methods of doing that. जितना डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स होगा उतना ही ज़्यादा आपके पास चांसेस होंगे कि बायसेस नहीं हो रहे हैं. देन लीड्स टू फेयर डिसीजन मेकिंग. जितने डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स होगी, जितना इक्वालिटी के ऊपर हम बात करेंगे, उतना ही हमारा डिसीजन मेकिंग स्ट्रॉन्गर होगा, राइट? इट ऑल्सो एनकरेज क्रिएटिविटी एंड इनोवेशन. वी टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. कंपनी रिवेन्यू इंक्रीज होता है, प्रोडक्टिविटी एंड एम्प्लॉय एंगेजमेंट इंक्रीज होता है, right? The more you train your people, your company employees on unconscious biases, the more are the chances कि stress कम होगा, anxiety कम होगी, organization में happiness question ज़्यादा होगा, transparency ज़्यादा होगी, communication अच्छा तो होगा. और इन सब का रिजल्ट क्या होता है? Ultimately good performance and productivity. जितना आप शांत मन से कहीं पर भी काम कर पाओगे with your sane mind, relaxed, without any tensions, the more performance and productivity you will be able to do on कम घंटों में. सोचो अगर एक बारी में अपना दिमाग चलाते रहो कि यूपीएससी नहीं क्लियर होगा और साथ साथ यूपीएससी की तैयारी भी कर रहे हो तो कैसे क्लियर होगा, राइट? बिकॉज यू आर गिविंग अननेसेसरीली बर्डन टू योरसेल्फ कि नहीं क्लियर होगा क्योंकि मेरे तरीके के किसी लोगों का नहीं हुआ. So that means then it is going to create unnecessary burden on you and your performance will obviously not be up to the mark. Right? So these are few biases that needs to be overcome. I'll share the link of this website. So if you want to go and refer to it, you can do that later on as well. Right? चलिए कल मिलते हैं. कल we'll do training and development. We'll start. So try and join the class. Because starting मिस हो जाती है तो
Thank
पूरा टॉपिक मिस हो जाता है.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.